Hey, thanks everyone. Good morning. My name is Sunil. I run the Techstars program up in Toronto, Canada. You may have heard the news. We are going to be hosting Collision next year in Toronto, so please do mark the dates, May 20th to 23rd. We're going to show you a fantastic time and continue a legacy of what I think is one of the highlights of Collision and of Web Summit, of Rise, is the Growth Summit. When we can hear from a panel of 3 fast-rising tech founders, hear their journey and hear their story, and really get a chance to experience how they've been building their companies. And in this panel, we have 3 Silicon Valley-based founders, all of whom have started their companies within the last 4 or 5 years and have just achieved rapid growth. So I'm going to start by introducing Mada Seghete. She's the co-founder of Branch. So please introduce Mada.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. I'm Mada. I'm one of the co-founders of Branch, and many of you might have not heard of Branch, but I guarantee that every person here has Branch on your phone. So, what is Branch? We are a mobile linking and growth platform, and we help mobile brands build a unified experiences between their web and their app. So think about it. You get a link from your friend and it says, check out these awesome shoes. You click on the link and it takes you to the App Store. You download the app and then you don't see the shoes that your friend shared. Well, we fix that problem. So we help brands build links that actually give a better experience. So whenever you click on one of our links, we know where you're supposed to go and we give you the perfect experience, taking you to the content that was meant for you. A little bit about our growth so far. We raised over 100 million, which I think is not really an accomplishment, but it has helped us grow. We have over 30,000 mobile apps using us all around the world. We're a global team. We're in 7 offices. And we're really excited to help all of these brands give better experiences to their users. And we have over 2 billion users actually using us and getting better experiences every day. So that's pretty much the pitch on Branch. If you have a mobile app or a broadband brand and you haven't checked it out, we're at branch.io. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mada. Next, we have a co-founder of a company called DocSend. And I was wondering if I had interacted with Russ at all before by email or anything, and my inbox is filled with DocSend messages, not necessarily from him, but DocSend is really a company that's in a hyper-growth mode, right time, right place. Please welcome Russ Heddleston from DocSend.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Thank you for the intro, and thank you for reading all the DocSend links that people have been sending to you. So I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders at DocSend. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a software engineer and product manager by background. I was at Facebook before starting DocSend as a product manager for the Pages team. And before that, I had a startup called Pursuit that Facebook talent acquired. And so DocSend is the second time around. In terms of the problem that we're solving, initially, for me, it was just the question, why are people still sending attachments? There's so many ways not to send them. And so what we tried to do was make a really easy way to send links and not attachments, and then give you enough value as the sender, so you want to keep coming back and keep using DocSend. And we've created a freemium product. We've leveraged that. People use it for fundraising, they use it for sales, use it for marketing. And you can see the growth curve of the number of people getting DocSend links in their inboxes, which then fuels the cycle of people coming back and asking, what is it and how does it work? And why do I want to use it? And so the strategy we've been having is to have a horizontal product that we market vertically. So we just launched a DocSend for finance product, so that if you are using Intralinks or Mail Data Site, we're a much better version for that. There's a DocSend for sales and marketing teams product that is hugely valuable for companies like even Web Summit themselves uses it, or Pinterest or New York Times or Forbes. And so it's been great to see the company kind of grow. We're all based in San Francisco, 30 people. Raised about $10 million, and looking forward to having a good discussion here on stage.
Okay, thanks, Russ. And finally, in the white-hot space of artificial intelligence, there's a company that's really moved above the noise, especially with their growth marketing of explainable AI. So please let me introduce Ryan Welsh from Kyndi.
I love this walk-up music. And also, I'm happy that you guys had a chance to see an AI-centric panel before this, because now you understand the importance of explainable artificial intelligence. So my name is Ryan Welsh. I'm the founder and CEO of Kyndi. We build explainable AI products for government, financial services, and healthcare. Uniquely, you actually can't use purely statistical machine learning for a lot of business processes in regulated industries and a lot of business processes within the enterprise. So how do you build systems that explain themselves at a sufficient level of abstraction, human language, so that people can understand them? That's what we do. Think about compliance in the government space. There's a number of use cases, and in healthcare and pharma as well. Interestingly, folks in-house at enterprises may not have the expertise in machine learning, NLP, and knowledge representation and reasoning. So we deliver that platform for them at about 5% of the cost of building it in-house. We had one customer say it would actually cost them about $200 million to build our platform. So thank you.
All right. Okay, so we'll just move into a panel discussion. We'll start with Mada. You've started a company 4 to 5 years ago. It's up to over 165 employees, hyper growth, based in the Valley, but you're growing teams worldwide in Berlin, in Bangalore, in London. You started leading growth, essentially, at the company as a co-founder, but you had a lot of responsibilities, engineering included, but growth has always been under your mandate, up until, I think, even recently. So can you just talk about what that experience was like, growing so fast and so quick?
Yeah, it was actually a lot of change. So in the early days, we were free. So my job was to grow the platform, so the adoption, which in our space, it meant a lot of education. So our growth, there were two things that worked really well for us. One was content. And the content that we wrote in the very early days really helped set us up for success today. And it has worked better than literally anything else that we've done on the marketing side, to the point where now, more than half of our traffic to branch comes from organic searches, and not organic searches that are branded, but that are about, looking for things that are related to us, then coming to our blog, reading a post that we wrote. So a lot of what growth meant for us was trying everything, because I didn't have a lot of experience in marketing in the early days, and really doubling down on the things that worked. So one was content, as I mentioned, and the other one was events. So we started doing these mobile growth events. We started them in the Bay Area, and then they just started growing. And now we do about 150 every year, which sounds like a lot with a team of like 2 people running events. But our sales team helps us, our engineers help us. And these events have been one of the best ways to both grow the brand, but also get us like leads, and also educate people about what Branch can do for them. So one advice around growth as you grow from very early on to later in the stage of a company is just try a lot of things. You might get advice from others to try one thing or another, but make sure you measure them all. There were tons of things we tried that didn't work, like going to hackathons. Everyone said that was going to be amazing. It wasn't. Or doing lunch and learns. So we did a lot of things that didn't work, and we ended up cutting them and just doubling down on the things that actually were showing in numbers that were actually helping us grow.
Okay. Russ, I think one interesting quote I heard about what DocSend is doing is, startups are all about disruption. What you're disrupting is the attachment. And so now we're sending around links and in a very secure and a very profound way. And that's led to obviously a lot of growth and a lot of interest in the company. And anyone who is criticizing at any point that this is a feature and not a company has completely had those thoughts put away, because you've proven that this is in fact a viable and fast-growing company. And so just comment a little bit about how you came to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question for especially any entrepreneur starting out. Is it a feature? Is it a company? So it's like feature, product, company. And I think ultimately your customers decide if it is a company or not. And so for us, when we were starting DocSend, we went and did a lot of interviews of companies and just tried to get a sense for how important their content is to them. Like as you were saying, like understanding what's happening to your content, where it's going. And we just decided it was actually a pretty big problem, and we thought it was a large enough space that we should go there. And as we've gone more up market into like mid market, we do ask our customers continually, how much value is DocSend bringing to your business, and does it make sense to have it as a separate system? And for all of them, they're like, yes, the properties that you're building, like we care a lot about, and it's like a separate company. So we've always kept an eye on that, but so far so good. There's a lot of value that's encoded inside of the content companies send externally, and it's just an area that they haven't invested in historically, and so we've really uncovered that value.
Yeah. Okay. Ryan, I think what's really fascinating about Kyndi is you experienced growth originally in a very difficult sector to achieve growth, especially for a new startup, and that's government. And not only government, but security agencies and departments of defense, and really profoundly complicated and long cycle sales cycles, I would imagine. And now, as a more mature company and I guess a 5-year-old company, you're going headstrong into the commercial space. And what lessons are you going to be able to apply from the growth you achieved in government now into commercial business?
So you've done your homework. We don't speak about our government work a little at all.
Oh.
But no, you're right. You're right. We transitioned from government now to commercial. And what's key, and I think you have to understand this with government, specifically the agencies we were working with, is that they were very discerning customers when it came to data analytics, machine learning, and AI. So it made sense to go after them, tackle those big data problems. And then now when you transition out into financial services or healthcare, other highly regulated industries, they have the confidence that you have the security in place. Russ and I were talking about that before coming out here, and other things around managing their data and providing the ROI around a secure, powerful platform. So leverage the work that you've done in a previous vertical to expand into adjacent verticals and hit on the same topics and things that really resonated with the initial vertical was the key to transitioning out.
Okay. Well, and in keeping with the homework I did, another interesting thing about Kyndi is that and I mentioned it on the introduction I made, that you've risen above the noise. And what I mean by that is it seems like CEOs and leadership executives are actually proactively coming to Kyndi for solutions that they need. And so I started to think a little bit about how and why is that happening, and how are you able to do that?
Yeah, explainability is key. So I think there was a good survey where it was in 2018, one of the big data initiatives for executives is artificial intelligence and machine learning, and their biggest concern was the lack of explainability solely in statistical systems. So the ability to fuse together a few different aspects of artificial intelligence, namely machine learning, the ability to learn and perceive from data, NLP, natural language, and then KRR, which is knowledge, representation, and reasoning. Linking those things together provides the explainability for specific use cases within a given vertical, and having that explainability is key for executives running their business, because they want to know how much risk they're taking, and that's been really, really key for us.
Okay. Russ, I think one of the things that I've noticed and been appreciating what DocSend is doing with the startup ecosystem is offering DocSend as a perk. Certainly at Techstars, all Techstars companies that graduate get a bunch of credits and get to use DocSend, fall in love with it, and hopefully not only continue to use it themselves, but become evangelists for the tool and the product and the company. Is that part of a deliberate growth strategy to offer perks to high potential companies and then hope that later they will become large enterprise paying customers?
It's definitely a longer term strategy for us. It wasn't something that was like a core strategy. It's more just there are a bunch of accelerators in our backyard, and a lot of my friends are at startups, and so it's a very useful system. And early on for like beta testers and stuff, that's valuable. We don't make any money off of that use case, and so we might as well have everyone who's a startup founder be an advocate for us. And actually, a lot of them they are acquired by a bigger company, and that bigger company then will become a customer. So it's been kind of interesting to see that it really has paid dividends for us in unintended well-intended ways, and I think it's a good strategy for a lot of companies. It's probably not going to be your primary go-to-market model, though.
Yeah.
It's just a nice flavor enhancer.
Okay. Similar question actually for you, Mada. I mean, the growth of Branch has come in part because you've been helping other companies grow. The marketing that you, tools and solutions you provide, other app-based companies, for instance, has led to their success, which in turn has led to your rapid success. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think our job is to educate the mobile ecosystem on how they can grow better. And I think one of my favorite parts of my job is seeing small companies really grow and rise. House Party, for example, is one company that really grew with us. We knew their founders from their Meerkat days, and when they started, they really loved the product. So when they started House Party, they used our links for all their sharing. So when you're in like a party with your friends and you invite someone else, it was a branch link, and it brought you directly in the chat you were already having once you installed the app. It made the experience really good for the user, but it also really fueled their growth. And it was a really fun thing to see them grow and see them go with Branch. We've seen like thousands of apps do that. And I would say writing those blog posts or working with them on understanding their story and having them write the story is like one of my favorite things as a marketer, for sure.
Okay, so we're just in the last minute and a half. I just wanted to leave one open question about hiring for the people that have been responsible for your growth of your companies and will continue to be. So I'm coming from a Canadian perspective where we're known for a relatively low percentage of churn of employees who are constantly leaving companies for another opportunity. That's not my understanding of how easy it is in the Valley, and you're all Valley-based companies in hyper-growth mode. So can you just talk a little bit each about your hiring for growth, what tactics you're using, and what your experience is?
Sure. Mine was bring in great people that have done it before, and the way I did that was first having them in as advisors, and then when I needed them, transitioning them into executives, and then they hire their crew to come in and do it. So that was my trick.
Yeah.
I'll just, because we only have a few seconds, one thing that's definitely a good idea is invest in your office. I think people don't talk about that enough. If people enjoy where they come into work, like it makes a big difference on employee morale and like everything else. Nothing substitutes for having great people, and that's what we invest in primarily, but it's been funny how all the candidates come into our office and they're like, I can definitely see myself coming into work here every day.
Yeah. Nada?
I think for us, one of the things that worked really well was actually hiring for potential and putting people sometimes in uncomfortable situations where they were doing things that maybe was a little bit beyond what they thought they would do. That has actually worked really well. Our retention is very high because people are always challenged. And one of the things, if you go on our Glassdoor, people always say is they've never felt so challenged in our lives. So one of our values and one of the things I say to all new employees is like we want Branch to be the place where you build the thing that you are most proud of, and you feel the most challenge, and you feel you grow the most as an employee. And that actually has led to people staying and growing. And we also have a lot of mobility, so people who maybe started as an SDR, then moved to product, or someone from our marketing team now moved and is leading the SDR. So that mobility has also helped retain people.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Mada, Russ, Ryan, it's been a privilege to have you here. Congrats to you all, and follow these companies on their rapid rise, continued rise. Congratulations.
Thank you.